Okay, hello everybody. We're here once again. We're gonna get some work done. We're gonna do another one section tonight, and we'll wrap it up. I do have to play Silent Hill F, so I do have to make time for that. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's get right to it. Less me yapping and more me working. Okay, let's see. Yeah, where was I yesterday? I think we finished up. Where was this? Oh, okay. All right, so I think we're moving on to hallucinations. We're just looking at my outline. I think we should be good. Yeah, it's yeah, hallucinations. That should be pretty simple. It doesn't really apply to FNAF or Resident Evil 2. It's more so it's kind of a fatal frame thing, but we won't really delve that deep into it. But I'm gonna save the fatal frame stuff for at least like the case study that we're gonna do. Okay, let's see. Alright. Okay, let me just read this one more time just to make sure we're good with this. Okay, so there's a point where horror doesn't need to throw an enemy at you. The scare isn't about something chasing you. Excuse me. It's about realizing the space you thought you knew not behaving the way it should. An area you walked down a dozen times feels different. A doorway leads to another location. Rooms don't connect the way they used to. Nothing is screaming for your attention, but deep down you know something is wrong. And this is where the betrayal digs in. It's not just the building working against you, it's your own memory. You start to second guess yourself. Was that window always there? Didn't that wall have a painting on it before? The doubts start small, but the more it happens, the more it spreads. You start hesitating, scanning the area, and trying to find proof that your memory isn't failing you. That is what makes distorted perception so unnerving. It eats away at the simple act of trust. You can't trust the room you were standing in. You can't trust your own recollection of where things were. In a sense, you're trapped in a cycle of questioning. The longer you're trapped in this cycle, the worse it gets. Navigation is becoming increasingly difficult. We'll do that. This is why I proofread, because you just never know. Navigation becomes increasingly difficult. Areas that you were once familiar with become alien. The loss of confidence in your memory starts to increase, and it begins to wear you down. You're not just in the game world, you're lost in your own perception. By this point, the horror isn't an enemy waiting for you, it's the thought that your senses have turned against you. You're forced to admit that you might not be able to trust yourself. I mean, it could have been better. I actually may have to just rewrite some of that, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Like, once I'm doing like my final like revisions, like I'll see if I have to like change anything. Just because I'm writing it down doesn't mean it's actually gonna make it into the video. So I count this as a rough draft. Nah, it's kind of pushy. It's still a rough draft, even though we're technically writing this. Okay, so what? I think we're talking about hallucinations. I said. How do I want to start this? Because hallucinations are kind of weird, especially with Resident Evil 2 and FNAF. Besides Golden Freddy, of course, but we don't need to really like. All right, I know what to do. Okay. Distorted spaces. If distorted spaces are about, you see. If distorted spaces are about what you see, distorted spaces are about what you see. The hallucinations are about being lied to. Because if distorted spaces are about what you see, then hallucinations are about being lied to. So the game itself isn't just spending. Hold on, let me put this down a little tiny bit. As much as I love pianos, it's kind of loud on my end. The game itself isn't just bending the environment. Anymore. The game itself isn't bending the environment anymore. It's presenting you with sounds, visions, okay. If distorted spaces are about what you see, then hallucinations are about being lied to. The game itself isn't bending the environment anymore. It's presenting you with sounds, visions, and objects that don't exist at all. I like it. Give me 1 second. Should I give an exam? There's a lot of piano. I love piano, but let's change it up a little bit. Actually, no, let's do it this one. Should give an example. Sometimes they are subtle. Sometimes they are subtle. I've given this example before. It's easy when you talk about shadows. And I believe I didn't mention the example of deadly science. Deadly science, guys. Deadly silence. Wow. Deadly silence with the chimera that showed up earlier than expected that goes right in front of your screen on the DS. Deadly science. Holy shit. Deadly silence. Excuse me. Sometimes they're subtle. They're subtle. Shit. I remember when Uncharted did that too. I think it was the second game. It was the second game. Because the second game starts. It's been a while. I believe it starts in the ice mountains, and you're climbing down. Then one of the Yetis. You see a shadow. You don't. You see a shadow based on the camera's like angle that's pointed at, but it's actually not a shadow. It's a shadow of the Yeti that just darts right past you. I'm like, oh shit! It darts right past the camera. I'm like, wow, that's actually good use of camera right there. So sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen. I really can't believe I just said deadly science. Silence, deadly science. Science is deadly, but no, deadly science. Deadly silence. Silence. I'm not even drinking right now. Holy shit. The DS game for Resident Evil 1 OG that did stuff. But yeah, deadly silence. I'm not gonna let that go. My goodness. All right. Sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen. Sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen. or they are they're overwhelming. They're overwhelming. Fuck, what's that game called? Alone in the Dark. In the beginning of the game, um, it's literally as soon as you get started, when you pick Carnby, in the lightning flashes. Yeah, he's at the gate, and the lightning flashes. There's nothing there, but when the lightning flashes, you see the corpses or the whatever they're called. They just flash with the lightning, then disappear when the lightning's done, like that, or overwhelming, um, or overwhelming when the entire screen. Or any other Silent Hill game. To, okay. All right. If distorted spaces are about what you see, then hallucinations are about being lied to. Oh my eyes. The game itself isn't bending the environment anymore. It's presenting you with visions, sounds, visions, and objects that don't exist at all. Sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen, or they're overwhelming, like when the entire screen goes from normal to grotesque. Yeah, that's good. What do I want to do now? What do I want to do? Hmm. Or they're overwhelming, like when the entire screen goes from normal to grotesque. The cruelty. The cruelty. Play any Fatal Frame game. Hmm. Do I want to go with this angle? Do I want to go do this? Sometimes. 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 Yo. Give me 1 second. Any more ambience? No, we won't do that. I don't know if your own sanity comes into fuck. I really just need a swear jar just right next to me. I'll just throw a quarter every time I just cuss. Sometimes these hallucinations feel real enough that your own sanity comes into question. So, horror games, horror games exploit, horror games exploit, horror games exploit. I think I'm losing track of time. I did say about like, okay, this is fine. Horror games exploit the human instinct to trust your senses. And it rips. And when it rips it away, when it rips it away, it leaves. And horror games exploit the human instinct to trust your senses, and when it strips it away, it leaves you stranded in uncertainty. Jesus Christ, wow. I told you with that one. In distorted spaces, if distorted spaces are about what we see, then hallucinations are about being lied to. The game itself isn't bending the environment anymore. It's presenting you with sounds, visions, and objects that don't exist at all. Sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen, or they're overwhelming, like when the entire screen goes from normal to grotesque. The cruelty of these moments is how convincing they are. Sometimes the hallucinations feel real, real enough that your own sanity comes into question. Horror games exploit the Horror games exploit the human instinct to trust your senses, and when it rips it away, it leaves you stranded in uncertainty. It's okay. I like the way it sounds, but it could definitely be a lot better. Don't mind me. I talk to myself when I'm like writing this. I think aloud. Okay, we will worry about that later. Let's actually talk about Let's talk about what makes hallucinations effective. I really can't believe I messed up Deadly Sounds' name. I can't believe I said Deadly Science. I'm never gonna let that go. Oh my god. Science is indeed deadly though, but shit. Alright, enough about that. What makes hallucinations so effective is the after effects. Well, at least for me, it's the after effects. If I get caught by some crazy shenanigans when I'm playing Fatal Frame, it's like, ah, crap, this definitely got me. What makes hallucinations so effective is the emotional fallout. That's a good one. The emotional fallout. It's been about 20 minutes. All right, let's do like another like few minutes. I definitely gotta go have dinner, and I do have to play Silent Hill. I want to finish that by soon. I just haven't had the time, and I finally figured out what's wrong with my laptop. It's just the battery's cooked, so that's why I was having the charging issue. So I just gotta get a new battery. Surprised I didn't do that before, but I am a baka. I am a baka or a dumbass. His emotional fallout. So we're do I want to do here? Okay, let's try this. You start hesitating. Oh my god. You start hesitating. Not because the game world is dangerous. You start hesitating not because the game world is dangerous, because you don't know what you're seeing really exists. You don't know. Yeah. I think the funniest one is just when Golden Freddy shows up. I'm like, are you actually there? Well, my game just crashed. Damn, I guess you were actually there. But do you give an example of this? Well, Pyramid Head, OG Pyramid Head, well, Pyramid Head in general, and Silent Hill 2 is a good example of this, though. So, because you don't know, yeah. Alright, let's see if I actually butcher this, because I'd rarely use this. I know I'm gonna butcher this. Hey, alright, I am not a bitch. Nice. Is that silhouette in the distance? Okay. You second guess, especially me. You second guess every choice. You second guess every choice. You waste time, especially me. You waste time and make mistakes. Make mistakes. And the game punishes you for it. How can we forget? And the game punishes you for it. But there's more to this. There's more to hallucinations. I just gotta think about it. How I want to write this. What makes hallucinations so effective is the emotional fallout. You start hesitating not because the game world is dangerous, but because you don't know if what you're seeing exists. Is that silhouette in the distance actually there? Or is it just your imagination under stress? You second guess every choice. You waste time and make mistakes, and the game punishes you for it. Don't mind me, I'm just thinking. There's something I want to say, but I don't know if it'll work. No, we won't do it. Because when you start hallucinating, put yourself in the character you're controlling shoes, like using Fiona from Haunting Ground, because oh god. Put yourself in her shoes. How are you feeling? Because they can blur because hallucinations can blur. It blurs the line between yourself and the character you're controlling. Like, what do they feel? What are they actually feeling when they're hallucinating? We won't go with that because that's such a weird angle to go with. So, yeah, we won't do that. So, at their core, hallucination at their core. Yeah, this is fine. At their core, hallucinations. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna be very cute. And just hear me out. Betrayal. It's because they turn your senses, your own senses, against you. If your own senses become the enemy, in a way. I love when I do these Kurt angles. They're just they get all over the place. They turn your own senses to. Because remember, at the end of the day, you're your own worst enemy. Because you start questioning every sight. You start questioning every sight and every sound. Paranoia begins to take root. And from that point, oh, I'm gonna do a funny. Okay, I got it. From that point, I can't believe I actually did that. My God, no, that I did on purpose. Silence. Even silence isn't safe. Because silence itself I'm being cheeky. Okay. I think this is good. First, these bad eyes of mine. Alright, let's read this and we'll see how this sounds. We don't really need to go like that crazy with this. I think section 2 was like all over. It wasn't all over the place. It's just a lot that we had to do with section 2. So, if distorted spaces are about what you see, then hallucinations are about being lied to. The game itself isn't bending the environment anymore. It's presenting you with sounds, visions, and objects that don't exist at all. Sometimes they're subtle, like a shadow darting past your screen, or they're overwhelming, like when the entire screen goes from normal to grotesque. The cruelty of these moments is how convincing they are. Sometimes these hallucinations feel real enough that your own sanity comes into question. Horror games exploit the human instinct to trust your senses, and when it rips it away, it leaves you stranded in uncertainty. What makes hallucinations so effective is the emotional fallout. You start hesitating not because the game world is dangerous, but because you don't know if what you're seeing exists. Is that silhouette in the distance actually there? Or is it just your imagination under stress? You second guess every choice, you waste time to make mistakes, and the game punishes you for it. At their core, at its core, actually, at its core, hallucinations are the purest. Wow, are the purest form of environmental betrayal. They turn your own senses into enemies. They turn your own senses into enemies. You start questioning every sight and every sound. Paranoia begins to take root. From that point on, even silence isn't safe because silence itself can be part of the hallucination. Bam! I like that. Okay, that's good. All right, let me just look at my outline so I can actually prep for tomorrow and see what we got. Again, I'm going to recommend always having an iPad just for notes. This iPad Air 2 has lasted me at least 10 years and it's still going strong. Okay, so I think section 5 is the endless loop. Okay, that's gonna be weird. All right. Okay, we'll deal with that later. Anyways, good stuff. We did about 30 minutes worth of work. You got a section done. We're going towards halfway done. So again, we're pushing for a release before I go into deployment. So this will get done eventually, but we're taking our time. Just because there's a lot of things we actually need to cover. And I don't know whether or not I'm gonna be doing horror movie analysis on top of this. So this might actually be a 50-minute video for all we know. So stand by. This will get done, but just be patient. Besides that, have a good one. I'll see everybody tomorrow for some more of this. We out.